Okay, with the creative team of your Everyday Heroes of Costa Rica, Haran, who's the director, and then Albert H. Crane the fourth, who is the executive producer of your Everyday Heroes of Costa Rica 25-minute documentary. Really interesting film. I'm just curious about how did you guys first meet each other?
Oh, that was fun. We met each other on Fiverr a long time ago, about 4 or 5 years ago. And I was looking for a film crew to help me understand how much it was going to cost to create these 10-minute films. And so I was looking for more films and for more um, I guess, hero stories and for it to become kind of international. So I went to Fiverr and I typed in international film crews. Hernan reached out to me and we just became, I guess, filmmakers ever since then, together as Hernan has, I guess, directed and edited, I think, 20 of them now. And
Yep.
the last one being Year of the Heroes of Costa Rica, which is what we decided to bring to festivals and things like that. But Your Everyday Heroes usually does about 10 minutes worth of hero stories. And so the three that you saw in Your Everyday Heroes of Costa Rica was like an edited version of all three of them put together.
Gotcha.
And then we submitted those to festivals. So Hernan and I have been working together now for about 5 years, 4 or 5 years.
And okay, so
Yep.
this people can go look at the website, youreverydayheroes.com, and there's all these films, like you said there's 20 you guys made so far.
That
Yep.
have been released. Yeah, there's another 10 to 12 that are coming out in the next year or so.
And Hernan, where are you based?
I'm based in Ecuador, in a small city called Cuenca, and the Andes in South America.
And then Albert, you're in the United States?
Yeah, I just recently moved from California to Virginia.
Oh, I'm just curious, why'd you make that move?
My wife is a spider. She went to University of Richmond, and we have family on the East Coast. So I'm originally from New York, and she's originally from New Jersey. We moved to California for my work about 10 years ago, and then we moved back to the East Coast to be closer to family, to be in a small town like Richmond, and to be get more space than California.
And have your vote count, I guess, in the upcoming election. I'm just kidding. uh,
Sure.
Basically, so tell me about this project that you started, your Everyday Heroes, because you're kind of the kind of like the instigator of this kind of amazing kind of story. Like you said, you're going around the world and basically telling hero stories. What inspired you to kind of like start this project, which is kind of a machine now? I'm just sort of curious about what the origin story of that.
Sure, yeah, it's that's kind of interesting, and Hernan has a big part of that too, because I don't think we would be anywhere close to where we are now if it wasn't for his dedication to this project. Um, we I was working for a company called Propel Media. Propel Media changed their name recently to a company called Odd Bites. I was working with them, and my boss at the time came up and said, "How are you going to monetize video content when you don't have any video content?" And I was like, "That's a good question." And so what Propel did is we worked with publishers and we put ads on the websites and things like that. And that's where my company JFAC came into to being, is because I needed to go find video content. The next day, and I'm not lying, it was the next day, one of my clients came to me saying, "I need a job and I have a film producer that has 400 videos of personal profiles." So I was like, "What are you planning on doing with those 400 videos?" And he was like, "I don't know. That's why I'm coming to you. You know how to put ads on things. How do we monetize these 400 videos?" So I looked at them. I watched all of them. I started getting a feel of like the people on these videos had interesting stories to tell, and some of them were very, very interesting. Like, for example, Brett Eastburn. Brett Eastburn has no arms and no legs. He was born that way, and he's a stand-up comedian, inspirational speaker. And I have his permission to say this joke, but he likes to. I like to say, go watch Brett stand up because he can't." and that's kind of a play on words where like he can't stand up, right? So
Yeah.
go watch his stand-up comedy because he can't stand up. So I started to become friends with him, right? Become friends with Brett. I played pool with him on Facebook, which is crazy because he doesn't really know how to or have hands, and how does he use Facebook to play
Yeah.
pool? Then we got to becoming better friends. I started talking with the other people of these profiles, and I met a guy named Carrie Ott who sang a song called Everyday Hero. And I was listening to that song, I was watching these videos, and I was like, that's the name of the website, Your Everyday Heroes. And so I went out, I bought the domain, I made a contract with Rocco Productions. They gave me all of the films, and that's what on our website we call the OG heroes, the original heroes.
Yeah.
If you look at our website and find a category called your or OG heroes, that's all of those people. It's the ones that were given to us. Then, so like I said before, I was looking for more outside Chicago people because all of those hero stories were based in Chicago. They were all Chicago. And I was also looking to find some more heroic types of people, the people that are trying to make good in the world, not just painters or teachers or things like that, but people that were actually building something like a foundation on that we could call everyday heroes. Hernan, bless his soul, came in and said, "I have a person in mind for you, and I think it would be great." And he went out and into the world of Ecuador and found me Yexon, and Yexon came and that was our first project together, and he blew it out of the water. He just went crazy. Yexon is a guy who trains kids off the street to be boxers,
Yeah.
and he takes them in off the streets so they don't go join gangs, so they don't do other things, and and we filmed it, or Hernan went off and filmed him with his team. It blew us away. It was one of the best things I've ever seen. And then I asked for more. And more and more and more and more and more. And then now it's been 3 or 4 years, 5 years.
So
And
when did this, how long ago was that, Hernán? When was the first video that you made? How many years ago?
The first documentary for Your Everyday Heroes was in 2022, I think.
Okay, so it was a couple
21.
years ago. Like,
Like 3 years ago,
okay.
almost, if I'm not mistaken. I'm very bad with dates. And it was about that. Jackson is a guy who lives in the suburban and a very poor area of Guayaquil, which is already one of the dangerous city in Latin America.
Uh-huh.
And he trained, and for every kid or girl he trained as a boxer, there was a less one less criminal and another elite sport or girl man for represent the Ecuador in the different space like Olympics and stuff. So he's a hero for he does more than politicians in this country now.
Yeah. So it's the consensus is that it's not an athlete, it's not a politician, as you said. It's just an average, well, not an average person, but it's a person that people don't know, like who are just grinding through life and kind of doing these kind of amazing things. And you're kind of putting the lens on them to tell the story about these people that the rest of the world would never know unless it wasn't for you guys.
Uh-huh. That's pretty
that's the
much it.
point. Yeah, you hit it on the head. That is exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to shine some light on the positive people that the world probably doesn't know about.
So then you guys, now it's kind of a machine in a sense where you have like a YouTube channel, you got almost like 9,000 subscribers, you got like lots of videos going on, you got a whole big machine of a website where you got Q&A, you got blogs, you got latest, you got all kinds of clips, and it's like, who runs the, Albert, do you run this? I'm assuming you have help. Like, well, how does this machine get
Well,
going?
so I appreciate that, and I have a huge team of supporters that are very passionate about this project. And by huge team, I'm talking about two people, Hernan and a woman that's the VP of our content strategy named Gina. I'm gonna botch her last name, but it's Ofdinio. I'm never gonna pronounce it correctly,
Enough for you.
but I call her Gina. Um, she helps push us along in the right direction. But the idea for all of the clips and the behind the scenes and the music video, all of that came because of actually Hernan. Hernan, we made the 10-minute film first, right? Like we make a 10-minute film, and then
Yeah.
I was like, well, I need marketing for this. So I was like, can you just ask the hero to look in the camera and say, watch us on youreverydayheroes.com. Like while you're filming them, we need promotional material. We need something to re-engage the person. We need a
Yeah.
cut for Facebook. We need a cut for YouTube. We need like on we need a cut for Roku. So I was thinking about this. I was like, you need to take this 10-minute piece and you need to make a 5-minute version of it. You need to make a trailer of it. You need to make a music video. We have to re-engage the user that came and watched it over and over and over again so that they understand how important this person is.
So you're making more videos within the video, I guess, which is
Yeah, we're taking the 10-minute piece and we're cutting it down
yeah.
to smaller pieces. Then it became Hernan was like, well, we can do more. We can do more. We can do more things with these 10-minute cuts. I know a lot of AI does this now, but like the reels were supposed to be like 1-minute versions of the story, right? So it was supposed to be the hero talking about something for a minute. So to answer your question, the three of us, Gina, Hernan, and myself, really are running the site. We're trying to turn it into that machine that you're talking about, and he's been great, and the heroes have been great too because a lot of the season 3 heroes that have come out have been actually completed now for like months. They're canned and ready to go.
Yeah.
The end of season 2 was the release of this documentary, Your Everyday Heroes of Costa Rica. That finished off season 2. What we like to do is do 10 to 20 hero stories and then finish with a big production of or bigger production.
Gotcha. So what
So that
motivated,
was
I was gonna say, what motivated for you to put this film out in festivals just to get more exposure? Like, cause you knew this was how did that come to, like, what was that motivation?
yeah, more exposure. We wanted to bring a light to an audience that might not have known about us, right? So my background is in advertising. Hernandez is creating films. So we drive traffic, millions of people to the website, or as many people as we can to our website to watch it. But our social media comes into play, our connection with the heroes comes into play. We don't ever want to drop our connections with these people, but it it seems like it's working, and the festivals are another means to get people to see the films, and it started doing well, right? Like feedback, your feedback festival loved it, and we've gotten another we got another laurel from another one for best cinematography because of Hernan's great footage that he's shot for us. Yeah. And we're just excited that it's doing so well. That we've gotten accepted into a couple more festivals, and it's growing. And I've never expected that to happen. I just
Really?
want
Because it's a pretty solid film. It's for someone who sees a lot of documentaries. So let's talk about this film itself. Hernan,
Sure.
did you where did you find these people in Costa Rica? I'm curious, like how this process was to find these heroes.
Well, the process was very interesting. The thing is that I wanted to get into diving, and I bought um, a housing for the camera. It was very expensive, and my wife said, "What the hell did you bought that thing? We live like in the Andes. We're like 500 kilometers from the ocean. I want to
Yeah,
learn diving and film." So the thing is, I bought that, and I said, "Well, we had to travel." And there was a hotel chain that was looking for filmmakers, and they opened a contest, and I said, let's find out. So I applied to that hotel chain, and I won that grant, and I decided to go to Costa Rica for diving. And he said, well, in exchange for the hotel room, you have to make a video. Sure. And then it's like, hey, Albert, I'm going to Costa Rica because I won this,
yeah.
and I need to this piece of gear to make it worth it, so my wife doesn't kill me. And and then he say, okay, propose. So we start searching for heroes on the web of this little town called Santa Teresa, which is on the Pacific side of Costa Rica, and we mixed a lot of search, and we found four stories. But the fourth one, which was Jeremy, he didn't answer back for some technical reasons. So we went to Costa Rica from Ecuador, arrived and stayed at a hotel, and we started filming. After period of that, we make some Zoom calls with the heroes, my wife and I, and then when we finished filming, it was 14 days in Santa Teresa. There was a very huge strike here in my country, in Ecuador, and I say if we come back, we're gonna be stuck in the airport and never can go back. There, my city lives. Cuenca is like 2 hours from the international airport on the Guayaquil airport. So we're gonna be stuck in Guayaquil and can't go back to my home. So like this fourth that has an answer be I the car and drive and say, hey, uh, here am I. I'm trying to contact you. Let's watch. And I say, Albert, I cannot go back to my country right now because it's in the middle of a crisis. Um, I can make another fourth video. Are you interested? Yeah, hell, go. And and it was this guy about the monkeys, so Jeremy. He had this rescue center, and I spent the 2 days with him, and he opened his doors for us, and it was only my wife and I filming. She she was a great producer, but she didn't know how to make sound, so I had to teach her how to make sound. And during the last period, from the day 14th to the day 20th, we spent doing this fourth documentary, and it was a blessing. It was an incredible. So after that, we came back. The strike was just happened. We landed back in Ecuador, and as soon as we can, we reach this phone and say, "Oh, the strike is over." Oh, perfect. Cab, and then we go back. And so we missed all the problems that Ecuador was facing right there in the moment. That's when 2022. Um, my kids stayed with their grandma. They didn't have access to heat or gas or propane, as you call them, and they had to suffer. And we are like in the paradise meanwhile. So we
Yeah.
skip all that part, all that, and when we came back, start editing, and the rest is history.
Wow. That's an everyday hero story in itself. Because it's
Yeah, we made a travel video with a phone.
Yeah, yeah, the travel
We hit
video
like
did pretty well on
200K.
Instagram. Yeah,
because
it was.
thank God for your grandparents or your in-laws for taking care of your kids, right? Because
Yeah.
if it wasn't for that, then basically I'm sure you had to go back home. One would
Uh-huh.
assume.
Totally.
And Jeremy's piece was like the forefront of Costa Rica, of the Your Everyday Heroes of Costa Rica. So like without his piece, this might not have ever have happened.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So you're basically you're in there, and let me see figure out your process. You see this interesting kind of these people are kind of saving animals. You see the aesthetic; it's beautiful. It's just you filming it, so you got some obviously nice shots and the pretty birds because they are pretty, right? Nice and
Yeah.
colorful. And you don't know the story though, I guess, right? Like you usually when you're setting up for a documentary, you kind of have like a kind of blueprint of what you're going to shoot. Are you just kind of shooting and then kind of figuring out the story while you're shooting?
It's in the middle of it. We make some interviews and we find out that, for instance, Vernon, the macaw guy, he told us about his project and say, well, I've been rescuing macaws and delivered for about 10 years. And since the beginning of this project, there was any macaws in Costa Rica, which is like nonsense. I mean, this is like the image of Costa Rica, macaw. And he said, here's a story. So usually what we do is we find a person who stand out from the crowd and make something for this to make this world a better place after this Zoom meeting. Then we go there and make a long interview, and then we go like two supporting interviews about him that that they think or her if she or he is a hero, and then we look for B-roll. That's like pretty much the standard procedure.
Gotcha. So there's like you have a nice formula going on within the context of these stories, I guess.
Yeah, I've been doing that for more than 20 years.
Yeah.
And I used to work at HBO in Latin America. I'm Venezuelan. And I used to work. So my first school was doing documentaries for HBO. when I was a kid, like 20 years old. And then when I moved to Ecuador because of the political crisis, and I married to a Ecuadorian girl and stay here. Most
Gotcha.
of my life, most of my people and my family live in Houston.
And they're in Houston?
Yep.
Okay. Have you guys
Only,
ever met
only,
in person?
No,
pardon?
Have you guys met in person?
No, yeah, we were this close.
like this
Uh,
close.
What like
but
We
what do
were
you mean?
we were
but
doing a screening of your Everyday Heroes of Costa Rica in New York City last 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
and Hernan was like almost booking his flight to come, and then something happened, and we decided that it was probably not best for us to do it at that time. But like that would have been our first meeting. We talk almost every day on WhatsApp and everything, but we've never met in person.
it's
So
like
this is a really, like I said, this is a cool, really nice series. I like the ending too. I like how you guys do the credits in the end. Are you guys looking for a television show? Is that what the goal is? Like just to get on like a streaming service of some kind? Like I'm sure there's some sort of goal in mind here.
Yeah, that's a good question. We are developing our own Roku channel currently.
Okay.
That then we're going to be distributing out onto other fast channels, like Samsung TV and LG. But we are trying to hold on to as much as we can the rights to all of these films. So at the end of the day, if like a Netflix or if like a Hulu came and approached us and saying, "Hey, we want to take your content and make a show out of it," I wouldn't close the doors there, but at the moment we are growing it ourselves.
Yeah.
So because at that point I would lose all rights to monetization of these of it. So my
Well, it
company,
depends what contract you sign. You still might
sure.
be able, yeah. Without you don't own
But
the films,
I
right?
feel like we're so beginner and we're so like at the bottom that like in order to just get onto those platforms, I would
Gotcha.
probably sign my life away for it. Or they would like that's what they would offer
But
us.
the paycheck would help, I guess, right? When you sign away your life, yeah.
Sure. But in the route that we're trying to take, JFAC, the company that I own, is holds all the rights to it. So I would be able to put our
Gotcha.
ads from our advertising partners that we have gone and secured for it. So I know that if you look at the website right now, you don't really see any banner ads, but if you actually clicked on an ad to come to that website, you would see a whole host of ads, so that we would be able to make the money back for paying Hernan his to then go shoot more films.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah, no, because
it's
I
like
was
a
curious
revolving
about
cycle.
the monetization because obviously someone's funding this, you want to make like these are amazing stories, but of course someone's gotta pay for it to make the making of the stories, right? So
Yeah.
but yeah, I think you guys are onto something. I think it's only been a few years. And now we live in an amazing time, like you said. Like I'm talking with like Rocco as well, and in meaning that like you can there's a lot of amazing things you can do now, like from like that even 10 years ago you couldn't do. So it's a kind of like you're in a very interesting time. Talk about timing right now. You guys like all these stories you're telling about is about timing, like about like how you even started this and Hernan doing this film. It's like good timing. It's like you're well you're good timing for these telling these stories too, right? So like with the
I'm currently getting goosebumps because I'm thinking about the future and season three because the season three of Your Everyday Heroes is about to release like next week,
yeah,
or the trailers for all of them. Um, and it's all about timing. Most of the stories have to do with us just being at the right place at the right time. And it makes it so much more interesting when you get to film these heroes doing the things that they are telling you about,
yeah,
right? So Hernan mentioned the fact that we do the interview and then he goes off and finds B-roll. But season three is we do the interview, we go off and find B-roll, then we film the person doing the action that they are being filmed for and telling us about. So we have a woman named Vanessa who is who goes off and starts fighting or singing about feminism that's happening down there in South America. And so she then like went off and teaches these other women how to sing, right? She gathers up all these women and she gives them singing lessons. But then she has a recital and brings all the women together and sings to the community. We got to film that. We got to be there, and Hernan got to be there and film this woman doing the thing that she tells us about.
Yeah.
And that happens in almost every single film that we do for next season. Where
Gotcha. So you're,
where
you're
we
raising this, you're raising it like you're going to the next level in a sense. You're making it
yeah.
better. Yeah.
And it's so exciting to just think about the future of this project because it was the Everyday Heroes of Costa Rica is doing so well that we're going to do this again and again and again, and it's going to just be more and more fun. And I'm overly excited about it.
So are you
Vanessa,
guys being centric, like no South, because that's where Hernan is. You're like South American centric right now. You're telling these stories. Like I'm assuming you want to go around the world to Asia, Europe, Africa,
Yeah.
Oceania.
If it was Hernan's choice, we'd be sending him everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
But
need to do a documentary on Mars too.
that would be fun doing it in public. Your Everyday Heroes and specifically JFAC employs 3 or 4 different film crews. The one in Ecuador is run by Hernan and by far has the most of our films created. However, we do have a film crew in Chicago, we have one in California, and we have one in Pakistan. All 4 of our current filmers are fantastic. So we do have a lot of films from Chicago, California, and Pakistan.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's like if you ever want any ideas, I'm very fortunate enough to talk to a lot of people who do kind of amazing things. Sorry, just because something last night I was doing this interview with these lawyers, these nonprofit lawyers who are kind of helping the environment, and they're not making any money. Which, anyways, so basically, all I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of amazing people doing a lot of amazing things in the world.
Hernan, I think you're editing somebody right now that has something similar to what he just said.
Yeah, we're doing a documentary about Domenica Cobo. It's like 26-year-old beautiful girl. He was a beauty queen here in my city, but she's just not a happy and a beautiful face. She also is a lawyer, and she has this foundation so together for them. I mean, translation, Juntas por Ellas, like well, she brings together a lot of psychiatrists and psychologists to help people with a very low income to help them go through very hard emotional crisis. Sorry for my English.
Yeah.
And we're editing that story. It's not just it's a very fresh and young face who's see the world in a different way, and she's like a hope for the next generations to come.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's some great stuff. Like I'm serious. There's just a really cool thing that you're doing, Albert, and it's like I love the story. Like you guys never met each other yet, and you just connected on the virtual world, and it's just these that's it's kind of crazy that you're able to do such profound work, and you guys haven't even met yet.
We haven't.
Well, we just need a beer. That's it.
Need a beer.
When I was driving home from a store, I called Hernan just randomly. And I was like, Hernan, I have an idea, and I want to take the 3 heroes from Costa Rica and turn it into a 25-minute documentary. And he's like, why are you thinking about this now? And I was like, when I'm driving, my head clears, right? And like I start thinking about the bigger picture, and I was like, I want this, and I know that we've never met each other, but I think this would be great. I think this would work. And what would it take to do that? And I don't want to just take the 3 stories and stack them on top of each other. I need you to take them, throw them up in the air, edit all of it, and then create something beautiful out of it. And the fact that he was like, I'm on board, let's go. Well, I got my energy across to him with just a phone call, right? So that means that our connection is true, right? It's not just like, hey, do this because I'm paying you. It's do this, and he loves what he's doing.
Yeah.
It comes out and it shows with every cut that we see from him from Pangea.
Yeah, you guys got so much content. It's just you can spend hours on your website, and there's like I love that you even have the lineup of like all the the videos of all the people, like you have a kind of like a list of all the everyday heroes, and yeah, it's really cool stuff. It's important because the world is crazy, right? And I'm not and it's like it's like we get like the new, like obviously Albert knows more, you like the news is just ridiculous. It's all about nonsense, and it's like these are the stories that need to be told. And it's funny because basically back in the day, I'm old enough to remember, you guys probably aren't, but there used to be it's still on, but used to thing called nightly news, right? And most people watch it, got like 10, 20 million views a day. And people would hear the news in a non-bipartisan way, bipartisan way. There's no bias. And then in the end, there would be like a 3-minute video about someone who's cool in the world is doing a cool thing, right? I don't know if you guys probably don't remember, but that's how they usually ended all these these national news stories. And almost it's kind of what you guys are doing in a more extended way, where like we forget that in this crazy world that there's amazing people who don't care about money, who don't care about fame, who don't care about like TikTok views and how many likes their Instagram. I'm serious, how many likes their Instagram feed gets. They're just grinding away every day doing things that they love to do, and they're like, not to sound corny, but they're making the world a better place. And I think that this is a perfect 100% perfect a Netflix series to show, right? So if Netflix is paying attention, and I know, listen, I understand filmmaking, and I know that you guys don't have like Hernan even mentioned, his wife, he had to teach his wife sound, and basically, I know your budget is not profound. I can't even imagine if I basically say here's 6 figures, Hernan, about like go make a video. Let's see what you can do with it. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like you
Yeah, it
guys
would
are
be nice.
making videos with nothing, and it's amazing. And that's my speech. I appreciate everything you guys are doing.
Oh, thank you. That was
Thank you.
amazing. I'm waiting for the 6 figures.
Yeah, me too.
We all
So
do.
keep at
That
it.
would be nice.
Yeah. But this, what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say is that people try to do what you're doing, but you guys are organized and you guys are making great stuff, and you guys are very talented as well. So like it's
We
good.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
And to your point on the last segment of the news broadcasts, we actually Brett Eastburn covers that in the story that we shot of him. He said that the nightly news came out and shot him all day, and he
Yeah.
was 45 seconds at the end of the news. And he was like, they took 2 days worth of content to cut it down to 45 seconds. That's not enough time
Yeah.
to get his point across. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's why we do what we do, is
Yeah.
that we give those people the time that they deserve.
And that's the world that we live in now, right? Where like before you used to do 6-minute interviews. Now we can do a half hour podcast like everybody else does, right? We extend our conversation, we extend the story, right? So
Yeah, we need some balance in this world, not just
yeah,
bad news.
it's just nuts, right? So, but it's just so it's a it's a new generation. It's a new invention with social media. We can use it to our positive, but the world's going to be crazy because nobody knows what the hell's going on yet, right? So it's only been 20 years, right?
Only been 20 years.
So all right, guys. Well, what last question before I've had you guys for too long. What did you guys think about the audience video that we sent you? What did you think about the feedback video?
I loved it. I've never seen something like that before. I've never gotten like real feedback from the audience that has watched it, because everybody I show the film to says, "Oh, that's great. You created something."
Yeah.
Like and I was like, "Yeah, that's cool." But like, you know who I am, and like you're my mom. You're my wife.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna tell me exactly like what's good and what's bad on it. You're just gonna tell me that it looks cool. And I was like, that feedback is great, but like the feedback video that you guys gave us, I mean, they went into detail as to who and what we were doing, and it in like the story, right? I've never seen anything like it, and I've never I loved every second of it. Even like the one I watched it just several times. I don't remember her name, but the woman in the middle who actually gave us some criticism, I took that to heart, and I was like, oh my God, that's actually awesome, because nobody's actually done that yet. Nobody's come to me and saying, no, this was a problem. You should have done it this way. And I loved that. I loved every second of it because it helps. any type of feedback helps us significantly.
For me, it's very interesting and very touching because when I make this shot of the macaws or this interview or make this editing decision, and it's like I'm gonna make this decision because it feels something inside, like a very specific feeling that makes me execute an action to edit, to film, to record, or anything. And with that action, I connected to the feedback that you sent me. It was like, oh, it worked. It worked. There is a connection between my heart and that heart's person and that person heart, and we
Yeah.
connect in some way, and it really touches, and she really acknowledged what way it was intended, and she really caught what was so that decision that I did in that moment of just an intuition moment. It worked. Oh, sorry. It worked. It matched, and so for me that was amazing to connect to a lot of people through my art. So it's
That's cool. I
thank
like
you.
that a lot. Right. So you make an instinctive decision a year ago, and then a year later, someone's watching your film, and then, yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, guys, let's talk again. Let's love to keep in touch, and love to see what you guys do next. And I don't know if you're going to do the festival circuit yet ever again, but I hope you do. And Albert, yeah, I think you're awesome. I think that what you started is amazing. So,
Thanks, Matthew. We
awesome.
have submitted to your next festival with another piece, so hopefully we
Oh,
get.
thank you so
Sure.
much. All right,
All
man.
right.
Well, you guys enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
Thanks.